This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Yeah, hello everybody. How is it on a Tuesday? I am very excited. To bring you Travel Tuesday. We don't always take a virtual vacation, but this week my daughter is in Germany and on their way to a concert today in Essen. They stopped in a medieval town, and I'm so captivated by the pictures of this place that I decided maybe we should go and check it out. So we'll be doing that today, a little side trip to Germany, and a lot of stories to tell you about as well. I do want to thank everyone who contributes to the After Party Live and helps to keep the little show that could rolling right along. Thank you so much for the monthly contributions. A lot of people just do a once a month direct thing on PayPal. I love that you can set that up. Recurring payment from Joyce M. Thank you so much for the $10. Also, Vicky S contributes this way, as does Alicia P, Miss Organic as well. And then Wes is always tossing a 5 in here and there. So thank you guys so much for helping to keep this show rolling. Thank you to everyone who sends lovely messages, and I love getting your emails. You can always reach me, kim@theafterparty.live. Again, it's kim@theafterparty.live if you have any messages. Lots of messages from Calvin Wong, who I think may have sent this first story. I'm not sure where I got it. I usually try to note names, but I think I found this one somewhere else. And then I remember seeing that you had sent it to me as well, Calvin, the shadow producer for the Mark Thompson Show, the Nikki Maduro Show, and here on the After Party Live as well. We have a story about a couple of adorable bears. Adorable until they're up in your face. But the pictures of these bears are super cute. They're big bears and biggins. These two young bears have escaped from a wildlife enclosure, and they went on quite the adventure. Yeah, this happened in Devon. The bears' names are Mish and Lucy. And in the UK, they checked out of their wildlife park in Devon and went to a grocery store. They were free for 1 hour. They were so captivated by the honey at this store that apparently they devoured a week's worth of it, and then they were escorted away. These bears were monitored on the ground and via closed caption TV until they calmly returned to their enclosure and then fell asleep. Police say this whole thing happened in line with standard protocol. They have launched an investigation into how these 4-year-olds managed to escape the wildlife park in the first place. They say the exhibit is secure, and they're grateful to the staff and visitors for cooperating, which helped everyone resolve the situation really quickly. Mish and Lucy are at this wildlife park because they were abandoned by their mother in a snowdrift in the Albanian mountains. They tried, the wildlife folks, to reintroduce them to the wild, but they couldn't survive on their own. So they took them to Wildwoods Kent Park in 2020, and then after 6 months, they found a forever home at this wildlife park in Devon. They usually eat berries, fruits, vegetables, seeds, fish, and meat every day. And apparently they also like honey. We knew bears like honey, right? Winnie the Pooh? Come on, we knew it. I just think it's so funny that they went to the store and found honey on their 1 hour of freedom. So that's the story of the escaped bears. Yesterday we talked about the amazing pictures that were going to likely come in from this telescope in Chile. Now we have another picture. This is a stunning new image of the Sculptor Galaxy. It is so beautiful. It is this galaxy in a sweet spot that allows astronomers to study it in ways that they can't even study the Milky Way this way. This is about 10 million light years away from Earth, and it is, as you can see here, a spiral galaxy. Officially, it's called NGC 253. And it's also known by a bunch of different names. Some people call it Caldwell 65. Some people call it the Silver Dollar Galaxy. Some people call it the Silver Coin, but it's most often called the Sculptor Galaxy. It's part of the Sculptor constellation in the southern sky, and it is one of the closest galaxies to Earth. Now, this new image, 1,000-color image of the Sculptor Galaxy, is giving astronomers a very close look at what it is made of. They've got a paper on it they're going to publish in Astronomy and Astrophysics coming up, that they say the mosaic, and it really does look like a mosaic, is one of the largest, highest physical resolution integral field spectroscopy surveys of any star-forming galaxy to date. The image, they say, is a veritable mosaic. They used this tool called MUSE, Multi-Unit Spectroscopic Explorer, MUSE, to observe this galaxy for about 50 hours. And then they put more than 100 exposures to complete this image that you're looking at right now. It spans a 65,000 light year wide area of space. The galaxy's components, like stars, gas, dust, emit or reflect different wavelengths of light, and each wavelength corresponds to a color. So this new image sheds light on the Sculptor Galaxy inner workings by capturing thousands of them. They say, for example, a traditional image might only include a handful of colors. Not this one. It's amazing. Thousands and thousands of colors. Initial observations from this detailed map have already revealed about 500 planetary nebulas. That's dust and gas from dying stars. Usually they say they can identify about 100 planetary nebulas and galaxies outside of our neighborhood, but this one, 500 so far. They say finding these structures is important because it helps determine how far away this galaxy is, the host galaxy. And when it comes to distance, this Sculptor Galaxy, they say it's in a sweet spot, that it's positioned perfectly for astronomers to observe it and to image it and to check it out. In the Milky Way, they say we can get really high resolution, but we lack a global view because we're inside of it. For more distant galaxies, we can get a global view, but not the fine detail, which is why this galaxy is such a perfect target, because we get both. A rare opportunity to connect small-scale physics with the big picture view. So close enough to study it as a whole, as well as zoom in almost to the level of individual stars. There we go. Keep paying off this telescope with the cool things that we're learning. If you had to pay for every bag of garbage that you dumped, would you be more likely when you stood at the garbage can to think, can I recycle this? Or does it matter to you? I think most of us are pretty hip with the recycling, but sometimes you just think, I need to wash this peanut butter jar out, but it's going to take me forever to get all the peanut butter out of it, and it's sticky and it's horrible to wash. I'll just throw it away. Whatever it may be. But if you were charged by the bag, would you be more motivated to clean that out and recycle it? This one town, Plimpton, Massachusetts, they say they've eliminated 305 tons of garbage a year by making everybody pay for what they throw away. Residents get charged for every bag of trash. They say until a few years ago, people were producing so much trash that it was threatening to put the transfer station, the garbage station, out of business. Residents would buy a $240 sticker for their cars that allowed them year-long access to the dump, where they could throw away as much garbage as they wanted to. but people threw away a lot of stuff. They say the sheer volume combined with climbing landfill fees meant the service was costing the government twice what it was taking in. So they thought, well, we could double the price of dump stickers, but then the low income folks are going to be hard hit. And that's not going to be fair to smaller households, like maybe a senior living just one or two people in the house. Maybe they produce minimal trash compared to other people, so that's not fair. So they decided that they were going to charge per bag. And they said when they did that, it cut the waste in half. Before the new system in 2022, the town threw away 640 tons of trash. Last year, it was down to 335 tons. It pushed people to recycle more because it saves them money. So the stickers to get into the dump now sell for $65 each, and people purchase specially marked garbage bags priced by the size. It's $1.25 for a 15-gallon bag, $2.50 for a 33-gallon bag. So it means a household producing one small bag of trash each week would spend $130 a year to throw it out, or $350 less than they would have if the city had doubled its sticker prices for the dump. The town is saying they have cut their trash disposal bill about in half, saving $65,000 a year. They went, they say, from a deficit to breaking even, and they're not the only town that has done this. According to the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, nearly half of the state's 351 cities have adopted a version of pay as you throw, pay, throw, that model. And in places with the pay or pate model, they collected 1/3 less waste, about 513 pounds per household. And here's what they say: the demand for waste disposal is really responsive to price. If you raise the price of trash, people will find a way not to put as much trash at the curb. So the question I would have immediately is, if you're charging more to throw things away, do you have more illegal dumping? Because if it saves you money, or if it costs money to throw things away, then maybe people go out in the dead of night and dump their garbage. I would hate for that to be the case. I would like this to be that people have found a way to recycle or to compost instead. One of the keys to the success of this program is to make sure the alternatives to the landfill, like recycling and compost, are as robust as possible. You've got, they say, to make it really easy for households to recycle their trash. That producing less trash can mean fewer greenhouse gas emissions from landfills or incinerators, and can increase the supply of recycled materials. So there's a lot of co-benefits to this. There was some resistance, though, when they tried to do this. The people were pretty upset. They were used to all you can throw away trash for decades. So having people, go into a different system is always difficult to get everyone to cooperate. But they say people are responding to the financial incentives. So, yeah, one of the primary arguments among the pay as you throw skeptics was this illegal dumping thing. But out of the about 1,000 towns that were surveyed, a quarter of them only saw an uptick in illegal dumping. And even then, it was just really quickly, like 3 months before people realized how they need to get on the system. They say it's harder to tell whether the pay-T system leads people to clutter the recycling stream with garbage, but it's not a big problem so far that they've heard about. After 6 months, people tend to prefer the pay-T over the previous system. It's just hard for other communities to jump on board because there's so many questions about it. What do you think? I don't know what it's like where you are, but would you rather pay per bag of trash? They say it helps us. The financial incentive kickstarts our recycling senses. Or would you be annoyed if they charged you by the bag? Sandy says, I've heard that a lot of recycling doesn't actually get recycled. I've heard that too. I try not to think about it as I'm taking steps to recycle. Mama says, my brother drives a recycling truck. A lot of people steal the recyclables. It's true. I've never minded that if someone wants to steal my cans. It happened to me a lot when I lived in San Francisco. Like, fine, just take the cans. Just don't leave them on the sidewalk. If it makes you money, good. Yvonne says, does recycling really work? I've heard mixed options, hopefully. SJ Lola, worried about illegal dumping. If it's not a problem, then she says yes. Yeah. B.A. Ware says, try driving near the county dump. Those roads are always covered with people that didn't want to pay to throw away their trash. Yikes. I don't know. I mean, here in my town, Petaluma, we pay a monthly fee and they just come take whatever's in your gray bin, blue bin, and green bin. And there are rules about, they want only certain things in the recycle bin. You're supposed to compost now. And so we try. But if they only allowed one bag of garbage, would I be more likely to recycle? I would like to think that I'd recycle regardless of fee. But once that fee kicks in, you kind of make sure you do it, don't you? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, well, everyone is supposed to pay cash for aluminum cans. The problem is finding a place that will take them here in California. Tammy says, most of my neighbors have dumpsters. I pay for recycling and garbage pickup with a bag limit. Yeah. I try to watch this show, Lori, teacher Lori, Waterfront, the Waterfront, and I couldn't get into it. I maybe got halfway through the first episode last night. I thought, oh, the Waterfront, I'll see what this is about. And I didn't like the characters and everyone seems nasty. There's nobody likable in this show and it's dark and it's just I couldn't get into it. Hopefully, let me know if you end up liking it. If she's not gone yet. Let me know if you end up liking it. And maybe I'll give it another shot. So far, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. All right. We'll get the garbage off the screen and let's talk about a shipwreck. You could see those coins down there. You see them toward the bottom of the picture? Yeah, look at that. Golden coins. And it has archaeologists thinking maybe they found the world's richest shipwreck, a legendary 18th century galleon. Could these gold coins solve this mystery? This money was minted in Peru in 1707. And that has archaeologists thinking that this shipwreck might be the Spanish ship San Jose, which sank off the coast of Colombia in 1708 with treasure worth billions on board. Did they find it? There's a cluster of gold coins sitting there, and they think this could confirm the final resting place of the San Jose. There's a study that's been published in the journal Antiquity where researchers are describing these hand-struck, irregularly shaped coins found in the stern of this wreck 2,000 feet below the surface of the Caribbean Sea. They are known as cobs or macuquinas. This money was minted in Lima, Peru in 1707, and it has markings linking it to the Spanish Empire's Tierra Firme fleet, which took treasure from the colonial South America to Europe between the mid-16th and late 18th centuries. So, when this wreck was discovered in 2015, researchers started checking out, well, what is it, right? But they were struggling to definitively link it to the San Jose. There's an international team now led by the Colombian Navy and the Colombian Institute of Anthropology and History. And they say That trouble linking might now be changing because, according to their study, the presence of these cobs or irregular coins strongly suggest that this wreck was a ship traveling the Tierra Firme trade route in the early 18th century. And the San Jose galleon is the only ship that matches all of the characteristics. The team examined these coins with a remotely operated vehicle, which surveyed the wreck in a low light, high pressure condition. Using photogrammetry and digital mapping, they created a 3D reconstruction of the site, which they say allowed them to analyze this without disturbing the seabed. The shifting conditions of the seafloor made it difficult to count the coins precisely. They say the high resolution imagery indicates on average that they weigh about 27 grams each. And they feature the letters PVA, short for plus ultra, which is a Latin phrase meaning further beyond. It was Spain's national motto, and it signaled the country's imperial ambitions. The number 8 marks the coin's denomination, 8 escudos, which was the highest at the time. The letter H refers to Francisco de Hurtado, who was Lima's chief assayer, who was the person responsible for analyzing the composition of the metals in the coins. On the other side, there's a design that features the crowned pillars of Hercules. The waves on the design serving as an identifying element for the coins of the Lima Mint. So there's a lot that they can tell, a lot that they do know. In addition to the coins, though, they identified Chinese porcelain from a period between 1662 and 1722. They identified cannons that were down there, marked with the inscriptions from 1665. And it's all mounting evidence that this is this legendary galleon. The San Jose was a 150-foot-long, 64-gun ship. It set sail for Spain in 1708, and it was loaded with a cargo of gold and silver and emeralds. More than 500 men were aboard. Much of the treasure was extracted from Spain's South American colonies, and the wealth was intended to help them fund the War of Spanish Succession. After departing from Panama, the San Jose was ambushed near the Colombian coast by a small British fleet. The thinking is that cannon fire struck a stash of gunpowder aboard the San Jose and blew it to smithereens, triggered this massive explosion that caused the ship to sink. More recent research points to the galleon splitting open, and it has been missing for centuries, since it was probably discovered in 2015. And several groups have already asserted their claims to its cargo. It is estimated that the treasure aboard this ship is worth between $4 billion to $20 billion. Whose is it? The Colombian government maintains control of the wreck site within its territorial waters. Spain is seeking ownership of this wreck, citing historical ties to the San Jose. Members of Bolivia's indigenous Ojara Nation say the treasure includes silver and gold taken from their ancestral lands from Spanish colonizers. Sea Search Armada, a United States-based marine salvage company, claims to have first located the wreck in the early 1980s. They want a share of the treasure. Everybody wants a little something. Between the Spanish state, the Colombian government, indigenous groups, the treasure hunters, the thinking is no one is going to be satisfied here. The Colombian government has designated this shipwreck a protected archaeological area, which guarantees the protection of heritage through the ship's long-term preservation and development of research, conservation, and valuation activities. and they have announced plans to begin recovering artifacts from this wreck. I What do you think? Whose should it be? I don't think the colonizers should get anything. They were stealing, don't you think? I don't know. I don't think Spain should get a cent. They were going there to exploit the environment and the people. I would say thumbs down to Spain. I think the indigenous folks have a real claim here, as does the government of Colombia. I don't know about the US treasure hunters who say they found it in 1980. If that's the case, then why was it found again in 2015? I don't know. Imagine they dip down deep into the seabed, all the things they're gonna find, the coins, the riches, the emeralds. Crazy. Mama says if it was found in Colombia, it should stay in Colombia. Mama, I don't think you're wrong. Just saying. Take it up with King Neptune, says Mel. It's crazy. It belongs to Davy Jones' locker now. That's it. Uh, well, I thank you. Yvonne says I'm like an encyclopedia. I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I just find some cool stories with your help. So thank you for all of that. I don't know. I don't know who we'll keep our eye on this one. We'll see who it should go to. Rhonda says Spain, you get nothing. I don't know. Yeah, I can't wait to see how this whole saga plays out. Okay, we'll move on from the fascinating shipwreck to the lotto of the day. And this is a story about taking some brotherly advice. This story out of North Carolina. This man, his name is Patrick. He said he doesn't normally buy scratch off tickets, but his brother convinced him to try his luck on a $20 ticket. He said, I recommend you buy that one. And so he selected that one, which was a 100 times the cash ticket. And when he scratched it off, he figured out he was a $100,000 winner. Patrick says, I was dumbfounded. His brother was equally excited for him. We hugged it out. He said it was a good feeling. The winnings will be used to pay off student loans and invest in the future. A smart thing to do. So it was recently my birthday, and at book club, I have a book club. We always celebrate birthdays at book club. And so over the weekend was the most recent book club. So my birthday was celebrated. And one of my friends gave me 6 scratch off lottery tickets, which I don't ever buy. And I thought I was trying to tell her, I do stories all the time about how people gift lottery tickets, and when someone wins big, no one gives back. I said, so before I scratch these off, let's come to an agreement. If I win, how much should I give you? I won $6, so that's nice. I wanted to share some images with you, and I know a lot of people listen via the audio only, via the podcast route. So I'll try to describe the pictures as we go through them. But these are pictures from the Florida State Parks photo contest, and they are beautiful. They are 13 serene nature images from Florida. Again, it's the Florida State Parks photo contest. And the first one is really my favorite. I love a turtle. Look at that turtle. It's a little baby turtle trying to make his way through the sand, for those that are just listening. And there's close up of the grains of sand and debris and the most adorable little baby turtle, light green and brown. So, so cute. The picture is called Freedom. It was taken at Perdido Key State Park, and it is a wildlife finalist. Here is wildlife second place. This one is called The Ghost of the Prairie. What a beautiful photo of this cat. This is taken in Kissimmee Prairie Preserve State Park. It is a male bobcat that was hiding from the intense rays of the sun. This bobcat, surrounded by greenery, the greenish yellow of its eyes popping out of the picture because of the green, lush vegetation around this bobcat. This one's kind of cute. This is taken at the Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, and it got first place for birds. It's called Learning the Ropes. Look at this little creature trying to figure out how to get from one stalk to another stalk. This was taken by a student. The story behind this photo, it was a rainy afternoon, and two adult purple gallinules were making their way across the plants above the water. The juvenile followed closely, trying its best to make its way over to the adults, but you could tell that it was still learning how to maneuver across the plants as it would stumble and not be too sure of its footing. It wasn't initially apparent how imperative it was for there to be no mistakes in its footing, but it was actually marching right over the head of an alligator. Luckily for it, the adults were able to warn the juvenile with a call, and they were all able to get away safely. So there it is. That's a cool picture. Here's a picture that is so Florida. This is called Alligator Sunrise, and it was taken at the Mayaca River State Park, and it gets the first place in landscapes. And it is this picture that looks like almost dusky gray skies with a row of palm trees reflected in the water. Super pretty. This one is called A Moment of Trust. This one was taken in the Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park. It's a deer who's clearly very close to the photographer and giving it the side eye. We know this one well. The name of this photo is called Firefest. It was taken in Jonathan Dickinson State Park. It got third place for Park Adventure. They were doing a prescribed burn, and it was just after sunset that the photographer snapped this shot. Speaking of fire, this one's called Flamethrower, but the flame in this case is the sunset. So you see some old tree branches sticking out of the water, and then the backdrop of this fiery, beautiful sunset. This was taken at Talbot Island State Park, and it's a finalist for Waterscapes, and it's called Flamethrower. Look at this little cutie. Little colorful blue and brown and white bird sitting atop a tree. It's called Rainy Day Blues, and it was taken at Colt Creek State Park. It's the finalist in the bird category. I don't know what kind of creature this is. It's clearly a caterpillar. It doesn't say what kind. The picture is called A Prickly Portrait, taken at the Paynes Prairie Preserve State Park, and it's a finalist for Small Wonders. It's an interesting creature. Here's another turtle in the group. Get this, just a couple more of these. This is a big tortoise surrounded by greenery. The picture is called Paused, and it was taken at the Anastasia State Park. Wildlife finalist for this one. Park Adventure finalist, Little Talbot Big Air. Surfing picture. So pretty. Look at that, catching air on that wave. This one is gorgeous too. Look at this flamingo. Against dark water, the salmon pinkish color of this flamingo just really stands out. It was taken on Honeymoon Island State Park. The picture called Honey's Unexpected Adventure. So pretty. And the last of these I'll show you is this picture of a monarch butterfly. It's called Golden Hour, and it was taken at Bald Point State Park, and it was a Small Wonders finalist. The picture of two butterflies, the one in the background blurred, the one in the foreground popping with all kinds of oranges, from light pumpkin colored to fiery, almost neon orange, as the golden hour of the sun bathes this whole picture in this warm glow. So pretty. The world is beautiful, really beautiful. And I'm so grateful today for those pictures to remind me of the good things. Speaking of the good things, look what they found in Poland. Have you ever seen the Venus of Willendorf? It's another one of these fertility figurines. Well, they found this very similar looking fertility figurine. I think the Venus of Willendorf was much chunkier than this one. This one could be, they say, Poland's archaeological find of the century. It's 6,000-year-old limestone, this fertility figurine dating back to the Neolithic area. They are calling this the Venus of Kolosbreg. It is the first artifact of its kind unearthed in Poland ever. The archaeologists say that it was found by a farmer near the city of Kolosbreg, and that it's most likely a symbolic representation of a female fertility goddess. It was created, they think, by the first agricultural settlers along the Baltic coast about 6,000 years ago. It's 5 inches tall. It's carved out of beige limestone. It has fossilized fragments of snail shells, bivalves, and marine worms in it. They say it reveals high artistic skill, but the proportions are slightly distorted. There's an emphasis on the sexual characteristics. There's no real face. Its legs are barely prominent, but the hips and the breasts are exaggerated. And they also show evidence of a smoothing, similar to how somebody might rub a good luck charm. And they say that's a telltale sign of a Neolithic fertility figurine that may have been used to promote both agricultural prosperity and human fertility as well. This farmer in this village along a river stumbled onto this statue in 2022, and researchers have been looking at it for the last 3 years, trying to figure out its date when it was made, and confirm that it was made by settlers who farmed along this area. This is the furthest north, though, that a fertility figurine from this time period has ever been found. In archaeology, according to these researchers, significant discoveries are usually caused by 2 factors. The first, tedious archaeological research, which lasts a very long time, and sometimes spectacular discoveries are made by accident. So they said they needed a lot of time to confirm the authenticity of this and confirm its place of discovery. They say it was riddled with anomalies because Venus statuettes from this time frame were more often made of clay than stone. And it was without precedent to find one in this area. They've been found in Israel, Anatolia, other parts of southern Europe, but never Poland. Still, the Venus of Kolosbreg now joins the fertility figurines from around the world. They say it could rewrite the region's history as one of the oldest and most unique objects in the city museum. Pretty cool. Welcome, Venus of Kolosbreg, to the mix. All right, should we take a little vacation? Let's take a little vacation to Germany. It's Travel Tuesday, and we are going to, and I will probably say it wrong, we're going to the little medieval village of Quedlingberg. Quedlingberg. Quedlin, Quedlinburg. It is in the Harz Mountains in Germany. It is a medieval village that was part of East Germany for a long time, and it was left mostly untouched. It is a town that has these houses are called half timber houses. And most of the time when they get old or raggedy, they're just replaced by something new and modern looking. It used to be. But in this town, there are now rules about keeping this historic site. So you can't just replace them with some type of modern slab house. This is a UNESCO World Heritage City, Quedlinburg. It rests below a sandstone cliff. It has an abbey and a palace on top. There's a castle. The king of East Francia, Henry the Fowler, founded Quedlinburg in the 10th century. It is said to be the birthplace of Germany. And his successor, Holy Roman Emperor Otto I, held court there to develop this city. So it has architecture from what's called Ottonian and also Romanesque architecture from the High Middle Ages, when a long succession of abbesses held sway from the cliff top. These abbesses remained in charge up to 1803 when the abbey was finally dissolved. So for more than 800 years, women ruled the village of Quedlinburg. Yep, it was ruled by the ladies. That's right. Over 5 centuries, merchants and artisans built hundreds of half-timbered houses down the slope in the old town and on the hill. There are more than 1,300 half-timbered buildings in all. It looks like you've stepped into a fantasy. It looks like Fantasyland in Disneyland, or what you imagine an old German village would look like. So let us take a look at some of the most interesting things to see in the town of Quedlinburg. Now, I will say that I tried to text Julia some cool things to take a look at, because they gave them, I think they were only there for a couple hours, and she had an hour for lunch, and she could go do a couple things on her own with friends. And there wasn't time to really see very much or do very much other than what the group wanted to do. But we can go and do all of these things together, which delights me. So here's what we're looking at. I'm going to share this picture with you. Here are some of the best things to do in Quedlinburg. And one of the first things on the list is this amazing church. Yeah, I have it. I have to take this picture down of the cute houses. And there it is. So you can see this church. Beautiful. Look at that. That's pretty amazing. This church is called, my apologies for butchering German, Stiftskirche St. Servatius. It is a monumental sandstone construction on the Schlossberg. It's a Lombard Romanesque church, a 3-aisled basilica. It was consecrated in 1129. It is the resting place of Henry the Fowler, the founder of the Ottonian dynasty. His bones and those of Matilda of Ringelheim are preserved in the fresco-covered crypt beneath the chancel. In the nave, you can check out the capitals and imposts carved with depictions of plants and animals, eagles especially. A little higher, the frieze under the clerestory is decorated with animal motifs as well. The inside of this place is supposed to be Beautiful. There's a knotted carpet from the 12th century and an ivory box embellished with delicate gold filigree, and it's all in this church. How about the Schloss Museum? There's this place. It's beautiful. Look at this, the old timbered homes. We'll stop right here. Very pretty. This is magnificent interiors of the 16th century Renaissance palace on the Schlossberg Museum, which maps Kettenberg's prehistory, ancient history, and medieval times. The galleries explain how Schlossberg took shape during the reign of Henry the Fowler in the 10th century, and then take you into the world of the Ottonians. So you can see the oldest remnants of stucco work in the German-speaking world dated to the 900s. There are also Bronze Age hoards unearthed not far away that there are now in this museum, and it is worth the entry fee. I think this is what I would do. If I had time, this is what I told Julia to do. Go check out these timber framed houses. There are some of them that you can go and look at in this town. There are walking tours, there are guided tours. This old town is the very definition. At last count, the city had 1,327 half timbered houses. They have this one on the list. I don't know how to pronounce this word because I've not seen this letter before. Bright Straba 39, Guildhouse Zarose, distinguished by its 2 tiers of colorful carved panels. It was home to a long line of wealthy merchants. There's another one, the Bourse Stock Exchange, a 3-story Baroque house from 1683. They say it was the first building designed by this master carpenter who would help shape Quedlinburg in this period. Then they say make a detour to the Weiber Engel, which is a merchant guest house, a striking 3-story cube-like building at the corner of a certain intersection dating to 1660. Then they say we should go check out Munzenberg. Munzenberg. It sure is a cute little town. It's the hill to the west of Schlossberg, the old town born out of a separate settlement. It is packed with 65 half-timbered houses. It came about at the end of the 10th century when a convent was founded by the widow of Otto II. Her name was Empress Theophanu. When the Reformation arrived in the 16th century, the convent was closed down, and artisans moved into the area, building these small timber-framed houses around the dilapidated monastic buildings. Beautiful. Check out this one. It's called the Rathaus. Wow. Incredible. And look at the village behind. I'm going to try to make it bigger. So pretty. Can you believe Julia was just there? Wow. This is, they say, the old town hall, the coolest looking place in Quedlinburg. Unlike most of the city's architecture, this 13th and 14th century building is made entirely from stone in the Gothic style, crested by a steep saddle roof. Under its lush coating of ivy, there are details to pick out. The city's coat of arms, also represented by a mosaic on the ground to the left side. There's a Roland statue of a knight brandishing a sword, signifying the town privileges of Quedlinburg. Let's go to the Marktkirche de Saint Marktkirche Saint Benedicti. I'm saying this wrong, but it's beautiful. Look at the inside of this church. I'm telling you guys, I don't know if I would have left after 2 hours. There's so much to see here. This is an old town. The Marktkirche was a place of worship for Quedlinburg's merchants in the 10th century. It has Romanesque stonework from its early years. From the outside, it's the most obvious on the western towers. They have these semicircular windows and blind arches. The two towers are different in height because one was damaged in a fire. There's an apartment of a night watchman open to visitors. It allows you to survey the old town to the east, the south, and the west. Here's another one. It's called Saint Blaise. Look at that. So pretty. This is now a concert hall. It was a former church, might well be the oldest church in the city. It's a monolithic square tower with stonework from the 10th century. Long before the first mention of the building in 1222, in the 1710s, everything except for the tower was given a Baroque redesign. So there's still wooden pews, stalls, and galleries. They say it has understated beauty, but it's very theatrical for its gilded columns, its statues, its imitation red marble. You can climb up this tower and get this amazing view of this whole town. Look at that view. This is the Sternkirchturm, a few hundred meters west of the marketplatz. This observation tower. You pay €1, you pass through a turnstile, and you climb up this structure. It used to be a defensive tower, and now it's just this overlook tower where you can climb all the way up. This tower has a quirky design. It was redesigned in the 19th century with an eclectic fashion. It is the highest observation platform in Quedlinburg with unbroken views east to the old town and south to Schlossberg as well. Here is a half-timbered museum. This place looks pretty cool. Might have to go here. Look at that. Yep, we're stopping in. It's the after party crew. Don't mind us. In a town of more than 1,300 half-timbered houses, this town is just the place for a museum on the topic. It is set in one of the oldest houses in the city, dating to the middle of the 14th century. The construction is called Standerbau, in which single vertical timber beams attached to a base at the ground floor rise all the way to the roof. Outside this house, you can see where the wooden pegs have been hammered in to secure the beams against tensile and shearing forces. The exhibition goes into the specifics of the construction and other kinds of timber-framed construction, and it lets you in on all the restoration efforts taking place around this town. St. Wipperti. In all of these old churches that you see in Europe, this one looks rather stark, doesn't it? I mean, it's beautiful, but it's also kind of plain. It's on the grounds of Henry the Fowler's royal court. It is the Church of St. Wigbert, famed for its 10th century crypt. The lower portion was unchanged after the basilica above was reconfigured in the 12th century. The upper building was a male monastery until the Reformation, and at one point it was used for a barn before being restored after the Second World War. The west side of the church is a cemetery where medieval tombs have been cut into the hillsides on the terraces. Shall we check out the Brule? Here's the Brule. Pretty little park with a forest in the background. This is a 15-hectare park hemmed by the Bode River, and it belongs to the St. Wipperti Monastery. After the Reformation, it became a recreation area for villagers. And there are avenues that still shoot through this park today. When the monasteries were dissolved at the start of the 19th century, Brule became a royal property before it was gifted to the city by the King of Prussia. After that, they did an English landscape style park with exotic trees in 1866. They put in some monuments. There's a monument there to Carl Ritter, one of the founders of modern geography. There's another museum. But let's go to this Sifskersha St. Cyriacus. Modern gallery. We can skip that, right? Let's go here. Look at this place. This is incredible. Look at that. Beautiful. This is a collegiate church founded in the 960s by Margrave Garrow, whose sculpted tomb is in the crossing below the steps to the choir. The show-stopping attraction inside, a copy of Jerusalem's Holy Sepulchre. This masterpiece of Romanesque art was carved more than 50 years up to 1130 and is claimed to be most like the original in Jerusalem. The nave, the capital columns, have a variety of motifs from human heads to acanthus leaves. Really cool. Something else to see in this area, the narrow gauge railways are here. This is a railway that winds through the scenery of the Harz mountain range. It is the longest contiguous network in Europe, running on steam power. It comprises two 19th century lines that have been joined up and lengthened to include some of the destinations around the range. Pretty cool. Should we go to the last place, Bad Suderode? Bad Suderode? Bad, I had to look up, means bath. And there are these spa towns in Germany, and this is one of them. Bad Suderode. It was the women of Quedlinburg's medieval convent who first made the most of the natural beauty of this valley. This is a Romanesque church in this resort from this period, decorated with late medieval frescoes and reliefs depicting King David and the wise and foolish virgins. After the local spring waters were discovered to have health-giving properties in the early 20th century, Suderode was given its spa designation, Bad, and sophisticated Wilhelmine houses cropped up around the valley. This water in this area has an unusually high concentration of calcium, and people still come to the spa to soak in the warm salt baths. For others, Bad Suderode's beauty lies in the landscape of the northern Harz Mountains, and there's some million hiking trails if you're a hiker to go up here and check out. So that's it, the first 15 best things to do in Quedlinburg, Germany. I feel like, honestly, we saw more of it than Julia did, and we just went virtually. So yay for us. Look at that. That's such a cute town. Don't you really want to go there for real now? Because I do. Okay. I think maybe I'm almost at an hour. Well, tomorrow I have so many great stories for you, including, I have to do it because it's the thumbnail for the show. We'll throw in one more. You've seen those nightclubs that are the ice bars where you have to put on a big puffy jacket and the whole place is made of ice. This is the opposite of that. This is the Oven Nightclub. And it is hot, hot, hot. Can you imagine going to a nightclub where, you're dancing and you're sweaty and you're already feeling overheated, and now it looks like you're in the furnace from hell? This stainless steel and red-colored lighting was used to make this techno club in Spain look and feel like the inside of an oven. Takes all kinds, I'm telling you. You can even see it says right there, it's the Oven Club. You want to just step into hell? Why not? Come on. This place is called Oven. It is in the city of Valencia, Spain, and it's been there since 2018. This oven's original interior, was done on a limited budget when they first opened. And so it had this industrial aesthetic with metal mesh everywhere. But the new interior they just finished a couple months ago has it retaining its original layout, and it includes metallic elements, but the space was given a more distinctive character relating to its name. All of the finishes and materials were selected to contribute to the effect of being inside an oven. The concept materializes through visual and material language that evokes what happens inside an oven, a place where the temperature rises, materials transform, and everything vibrates with intensity. It's almost, they say, psychedelic to be inside this place. They did these dramatic combinations of black and red to represent flames and the process of burning. There's metal paneling that clads the bar areas and the DJ booth to make it more like an oven aesthetic. And there's this light scheme bouncing around this place, moving lights, generating a sense of heat and constant motion. No, thank you. The last place I want to go is a place where I feel like I'm burning alive. It's weird, right? Am I the only one who's like, no, thank you? Go into the chat. What do you think of the oven? I prefer the dark, cool techno club in Germany in the 80s. I'm sweating just thinking about it, says Zero Sum. Mindy's with me. We're going to the ice bar instead. Meredith says this is torture. Mindy says no thank you. No thanks. I missed the most important, says Harry. Drink the beer. Maybe that'll cool you down. Something. Tammy says, reminds me of the time someone slipped ecstasy in my drink at a club. Oh no. Horrible. That's not good at all. I hope you're all right. Made it home okay. That's scary. No thank you, says Vanessa. Nightclubs are hot enough under normal circumstances. That's how I feel. Dropping like flies on that dance floor, says Tammy. I hope deodorant is required, says Mama. Come on. Yeah, no thank you. Oven. It's been open for a while, though, so maybe people like the oven. Yeah, I don't know. All right, we've come to the end of the After Party Live, and I think I've kept you over, very anti-pant, very overtime today. But thank you for being here. And tomorrow, we'll check out some waterfalls. We'll cool it down from the oven of today. Thank you for going to Germany with me. And I'll see you tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. I will say we have Sue Halpern on the show tomorrow, along with John Rothman. So it's going to be a really good show, really interesting conversations. And I hope you'll meet me right back here on YouTube. But before that, make it a great rest of your day. And I'll see you back here on the YouTube. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.